Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show. I'm Derek Asklar. Craig Talley's on the line there. We'll be hosting the show tonight. Sit back, grab a beverage of your choice, and enjoy, I guess, Craig. We're going to talk a little bit about, excuse me, solutions to problems that you guys, may run into when you're out detecting. Stuff that you can fix if you know how to, or maybe, you can't make it through the day unless you do fix something. Whether it's your detector, shovels, whatever. It could even be settings on your metal detector. A lot of us get out there and we run into a new situation, whether it's the ground contaminants or the ground, mineralization or EMI. Some of us, have been in situations, kind of figure our way around in there. But this is something that it's been coming up a lot more. I get phone calls about this. They're having an issue with a detector or whatever, and they can't get it stable, that kind of thing. And it's usually once you fix the problem, you kind of lead into fixing other problems that you might be having with your settings and stuff. So that's what I wanted to start the show off with, Craig. But we'll probably go right into open lines there. Sorry about that. I'm about freezing to death in here. Left the air conditioner on too long, so had it set down to 67 degrees for some reason, and walked in my office and about froze to death. So, but at any rate, I see that. Bill Marsh is already on there. Michael Boyles is on there tonight. And if you want to get on chat, all you got to do is log into Spreaker.com and go to Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio and just click the comment section, and that way you can get in on the chat and talk there, or you can just call in at 352-504-4170, and you can call in live there, and we'll put you on the air, and you can ask your questions or give your solution to the problem, because we all don't know anything, not know everything. Well, sometimes I don't think I know anything at all, Craig, so you gotta work your way into a circle there. But I did want to say something. I told you already, Craig, before this show, but I've been working with a couple different detectors right now, and kind of evaluating them and stuff like that. I can't really talk about the name of it, but it was I was so shocked today when I took the low end detector out there, and I like the thing, but it is on the lower end. Somebody would start with this machine, but Craig, the thing blew my mind. I did a recovery delay test with 6 coins and then 5 nails. And I could literally swing this coil over that, and it has multiple tone. As fast as I could swing it, just about. I mean, I was right at the verge of not being able to swing any faster, and it finally let go. And we're talking about a low-end detector here. The recovery delay speed is so fast, it absolutely shocked me. I never thought it was going to be that fast. And, I actually did it when I did a video on this, and I'll release it when I can. But yeah. We talked about this the last show with the technology and the circuitry they're putting in these machines and stuff. Now, as compared to even 5 years ago, it's shocking how good they work. I mean, maybe it's because the parts aren't as much as they used to be, and it's becoming more commonplace, some of these circuits and stuff. That might be why they're on a machine that's considered more or less a lower-end detector. But to me, this thing, I wouldn't have any problem putting it in somebody's hands to go coin hunting or at a park or somebody's front yard, whatever, just to horse around with, because it actually performed that, pretty doggone decently for what it is. So I was pleasantly surprised about that. But you do run into a lot of these I guess you call them weird situations. And Craig, I know you've had a couple, not happening to you, but I know you were hunting up on a hill. I remember you doing a video on this where you had the V6 out there, and you could almost reach up and touch the power lines. You remember that? The high tension wires that were, because you're on the hill. And, you knew what to do. You flipped the machine into iron ore mode, and then you worked with frequency, and you got it just cleaned up, and you were able to metal detect. But there were several people there with you, and they couldn't even get near the place. I mean, it just would not let them work their detectors, or maybe they didn't know how to adjust them outright too. I mean, that does happen. Yeah.
well, you remember Breastplate Hill? That had quite a bit of EMI around it because there was those big shopping centers and that trailer park and some other stuff there that were close by.
Yeah.
I think that, and I think there's several like radio towers or something in that area.
Yeah,
that's one of the higher points around there. There was a lot of Civil War forts in a circle around that hill, and
I know I had to bump it up.
Had a commanding view.
Yeah, I tried to bump up my detector when I was up there. I think I was running about a 3 gain on turbo mode, and that's quite a bit of power. And I had to back it down to like 2, 1.5, 2. And just work with the frequency a little bit. But yeah, if it's going to do that to our, to the Bliss Tool V6, I was like, that must have been a lot of EMI up there, for anybody else, because a lot of these machines just don't have the adjustment room. They don't handle it well. Other ones do. You just got to work with it a little bit, depending if you have the ability to make that change. One thing I wanted to ask, Craig, because I don't know about the Deus, and I don't know about the some of the Mind Labs or even White's machines. I know with my Spectra V3 from White's there, I could offset, if I was around another metal detector or that kind of thing. But I don't remember having any real problem with EMI to the point where I had to make any major adjustment. Most of the time, I could just lower my sensitivity down a little bit and do a frequency offset a little bit and be able to tune it out. But I mean, what would you do? I mean, your Deus, it does, you were in Old Town and you were detecting there, and you said it was getting pretty noisy right there, but you were still able to detect with it.
Yeah, what I did with the Deus was I went up to higher frequencies, and at 17.7 kilohertz, it's pretty quiet actually.
Yeah, okay.
It's I was thinking. I remember I got the closer I got to the sidewalk, it was horrible.
Right.
And I had another experience where I called you because the Bliss was just going crazy. Wouldn't hunt over there, and you said, why don't you try a 0 gain?
Yep.
And I went over. It was like totally quiet. I'd had the Deus all over there. It just, a lot of times the Deus, you can get a signal through the chatter, when it's
right.
Getting the EMI. It's actually a pretty good machine that way. But I went right over where the Deus didn't hear anything, and I got a wheat penny and 3 Indian heads, I think it was, in a row.
Right.
Like 8 to 10 inches deep. It was crazy. I was like, this is amazing, and I was using it up. I was going across the walls, like they cut down the size of these pits, and I knew that could be stuff in the layers in between. You could see like 3 layers of bricks, and there was one section that was about a foot, maybe 1.5 feet thick. That was just black. It was like, and when you hit it, you could see burnt wood coming out. So there must have been a fire or something there at one time.
Yeah.
But
and that'll mess up your detector too. I mean, some of these detectors, the burnt wood, burnt coal. I mean, I've seen it. It's messed with some of the detectors I've owned in the past, where it just gives you a very weird signal. It's not like a normal beep or anything like that. It's just like all over the place. And I've seen it, with old burn pits and stuff like that. It'll do it too. Never really had much problem with the Bliss Tool in that. But I'm trying to remember which detector it was. I think it was I want to say it was the MXT for some reason, from White's, but I may be wrong. It may have been in a the Coin Master. I had one of those at one time also, and it may have been that. But that's a lot of crap to go through when you got, burn up boards. There's probably rusty nails in there and whatever else if it's a burn pit or was a burn pit. So, kind of a crapshoot if you can't discriminate it out. You just got to kind of go with it. But running these machines chatty, well, like the Deus was real chatty for you, and you were able to hear his signals. That's kind of what the Bliss tool does too. You can take it out and into a field or something like that, and really crank up the threshold, the sensitivity, and be able to run it in a chatty mode. We call it chatty, and still get the really good modulation on the signals. Craig, your yard was like that in Alexandria when I was running that small coil through there. And ended up finding a bullet. I mean, it was just popping and clicking and half-ass beeping. And excuse my language, sorry about that. You know, just doing that partial beep and this and that. But when you went over a good solid target, you know, like a non-ferrous target, man, it just erupted. It was louder than everything else. So it's like a dead giveaway that there's something there that's non-ferrous. You know, I had, actually it was Tim. I think I told you about this last show where he was running in pretty much a startup settings we'd run on the Bliss tool, and he goes, man, this thing won't shut up. I got, you know, it's like beeping all the time and everything else. And it turned out that he was standing in his front door, just walked out on the porch, and he had it set up, and he couldn't metal detect with it, he thought. And I said, dude, walk about 15 feet away from that house and then do it. And he did it, and I gave him a couple extra settings on there, and he, you know, quieted it right down. And he's like, oh, my God, I can't believe it was that easy. I said, yeah, it's just settings. You know, if you don't know, you know, you're not going to be able to fix it. But a lot of these machines, you have the ability to do that. You know, like the mid-level to upper-level detectors, you have enough adjustment room. And if the sensitivity doesn't work, you can work with the ground balance too if you have the ability to change the manual ground balance on it. I'm not sure how well it will work on the digital machines, but I think it would work about the same as it does ours. You go into almost a ferrite ground balance. And I don't know if it's going to be the same. You have to try it to see. But sometimes you can go right into a ferrite ground balance and move your gain down just a little bit, your sensitivity, and it can smooth out. Now, you may not get as deep, but you're going to be able to metal detect there. So that's the way I've always looked at it. As long as you can get a coil swinging and you don't have to listen to a bunch of noise, that's always a plus, even if you're only digging, you know, coins 5 or 6 inches down. At least you're able to detect. I mean, you got to weigh your options there and kind of go with the best solution rather than just leave. At least you can get in there and hunt. And that's why I always carry an extra detector with me, a different kind of detector anymore, just because you just never know what you're going to get into, or, you know, God forbid you travel 100 miles to go hunting and your detector breaks somehow, or a lower shaft breaks. I had that happen in Clearwater Beach. The lower detecting shaft broke, and I was like, crap, you know. And of course, I didn't bring any other coils or any other detectors, and I swore I was never going to be in that situation again, because that'd tick you off when you travel all the way there and you can't even metal detect. And then I was trying to find a way to fix the thing. And luckily I had some duct tape or black tape or something, and I was able to rig it up a little bit to make, you know, so that at least I could swing the detector rather than be a wasted trip. You know, we've had a couple shows on here where we talk about carrying a fix-all bag, you know, have your duct tape, your black tape, your toothpicks, your chewing gum, and throw it all together. Maybe you can get whatever you need working. So it's always a good idea to carry stuff like that with you. You know, getting into some of the other settings too, when you're dealing with a machine that has a lot of different tone IDs, and I'm just using the white Spectra because it had the ability to do all this, and I'm sure some of the other machines do too. I just haven't really put my hands on them too much. I was able to turn off, to make my detector work better, and figure turn off everything I don't need to detect something in the ground. Turn the sound off of the negative, leave it in pretty much all metal. In a way, your discrimination is set really low, but like turn off the sound on the ferrous targets, the nails and stuff like that. I think I had it set to like VDI of 6 or 7, and it goes into the negative range from there for iron. And I was able just to turn the sound off, so I wasn't limiting the detector as far as discrimination goes. I just wasn't hearing any of the iron, which didn't bother me too much because of the area I was hunting with. It was so trashy, and that seemed to work very well with me. And I didn't feel like I was giving up any performance that way. little tricks of the trade, so to speak, or you figure them out so you can actually run in those environments. Cellar holes would be another good example of that, because I'm sure, I haven't hunted a cellar hole, and knowingly anyways, but they always talk about all the cut nails and the nails all around it and everything. It's really hard to find a target. Sometimes you got to think outside the box and say, well, okay, if I turn the sound off, I'm not even paying attention to them, but I'm not giving up any performance on depth and stuff, whether the detector can distinguish, and you have the recovery delay set right on your detector, you can actually get in there and pick out those coins and stuff like that are in between the nails. And, Craig, you were talking about something today, the finding the V nickel, and that was kind of a good example there. What you find? Why don't you tell them what you found in the hole and all that stuff? Because I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't used the Deus in a while, and I went out. Yesterday, and I found a lot of stuff right along that fence, and there's still a lot more signals and stuff, and so anyway, I'd found the breastplate and found a couple Indian heads and stuff like that in there. So anyway, I went up there and got a signal. I guess it was reading between like 53 and 56. It was just it was the numbers were changing, but they were always the same.
Mm-hmm.
Real. And I figured, well, it's probably nickel, and so I dug down and stuck the pinpointer in the hole and pulled out a big nail, and then pulled out another nail, and then another nail. Must have pulled out 4 or 5 nails,
mm-hmm.
and 2 of them were real big ones. And I kept thinking, I got a good signal. That was not a nail signal.
Right.
And so anyway, I get down, finally I get down about, I guess, 5.5 inches or something, and pull out a V nickel. So that's the first V nickel out of the yard.
Is it toasted, or can you read it?
Actually, I can read both sides.
Cool. A lot of times they're toasted.
Yeah, I've got a lot of toasted. Well, not a lot. I haven't really dug a super amount of them. I've dug a lot of silver nickels and buffalo nickels.
Right.
Probably got 60 or 80 buffalo nickels at least. But but anyway, I went back out today with the Bliss,
mm-hmm.
and I went right back over. I was hunting around, and I saw it. I'm gonna go check that plug where I went over with the Deus the other day and got the V nickel. So I walk over there and I get this. It wasn't a loud signal, but it was a moderate signal.
Right.
And I had the 11-inch coil versus a 9-inch on the Deus, but I thought, man, that is a good signal. It's crazy.
Right.
And so I dig down and actually I opened the plug. I had to widen it just a slight bit more,
mm-hmm.
but from the day before. But anyway, I stick the pinpointer in there. I almost have dug out 8 nails, and I kept thinking, it was a good signal. It wasn't, just like it was with the Deus with the nickel. And finally, I get this, long, signal in the bottom of the hole, and I could see brass. And I'm like, first I thought it might be a plate, and then I thought it was a spur, and it turned out to be a beer tap, brass beer tap. And it's old because it's got the real dark green patina on it, almost kind of like shiny dark color to it. It's pretty cool. But it was probably around a foot deep. But there's no telling, I've dug bullets at 2 inches, and I've dug, wheat pennies at 10 inches.
Yeah, so, it doesn't make any sense sometimes.
Yeah, but it's there's like a runoff down this little hill off the street.
Mm-hmm.
There's, it's real steep to the sidewalk, the grass medium, and it's probably about 3 times wider than a normal medium is.
Right.
But anyway, it comes down, and then my yard slants all the way to the backyard. It starts off kind of gently, but right along that fence, you can see that stuff has eroded across, over the years, and probably covered up a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. It just seems like some of these detectors, and not to cut you off or nothing, but I hear about this more and more with these newer detectors. The Deus and the Ballistal and the I haven't heard anything about the Equinox yet, but I'm sure it's happened already. The CTX is another one where you start pulling nails out of the hole, but there's a good signal, and there's actually was able to get through in between all that stuff. But that's being vigilant and listening, because a lot of people just and they don't understand what they're hearing. I think is they'll go over it and just think it's another rogue spit or whatever. You got to kind of be methodical when there's stuff there, but you have a lot of iron. You got to squeak in between everything or something like that. You got to take your time. You can't just wander through really fast or you're going to miss stuff. That Dippa hunt was like that. You had a lot of, in that yard, there was a lot of iron, a lot of nails, just the normal kind of junk that's around a house. But they were digging Indian heads and stuff like that through there too, but they were just having to pick and choose what they were digging. Be a little more thorough on it. But go ahead, Craig, sorry.
No, it's just, I actually took the Deus and put it in the depth discriminator at 7 and just started going across parts of the yard where you couldn't hear anything. And then there's so many signals popping out of the ground. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
And a lot of them are, loud iron signals that you just don't hear because the discriminator knocks them out.
Right.
But when you open it up, man, it's I don't know how people could hunt, with 7 or 8 even. 8 is hard to hunt with.
Yeah.
Unless there's just, wide open field where there was no, nails in the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just, I've had those situations too, especially with this V5 and V6, man. You get pulling out a nail, pull out another nail, and that the signal's still there. You're still going over, you're still hearing the same signal. Well, those pistol bullets up there in Ohio are like that. I had one, and then you were about 20 feet away, did the same thing. It turned out to be a pistol bullet for each one of us, but I think we had 5 or 6 square nails and pieces of square nail and everything else in the same hole. We couldn't even use our pinpointers. We had to actually wave the dirt over the coil in order. It was comical in a way.
Some of the little tiny tacks. Those same kind of tacks are in my yard.
They must be for furniture or something, maybe old furniture. The little tacks that they put the upholstery on with. They're sharp little buggers. I know I poked myself right down here. I stuck my hand down on a hole and that doggone nail went right in between my, into the nail bed on my index finger. That hurt like crazy. You hear about, those old torture things where they'd stick the bamboo sticks in your fingernails. That's what it felt like. It's like, God. And I did it to myself. So I think they're furniture nails or something. Well, I did find some, and that's another thing too. I found these little really, really sharp tacks that look like down at the Fort DeSoto hunt, and the ranger over there said those were for slate roofs. I guess when they fit the slate in there, somehow they put those nails in to hold them in place. But these things are only about maybe a half an inch long, but they're like little square nails with a big head on them. But they are sharp as a needle, man. You can. I was digging those things up over there in a hole, and I said, "Well, that can't be it. It can't be it." And I can't remember what. I think it was a bullet casing or something like that. I dug in amongst all that junk, but they were used for slate roofs. And I see a lot of the guys too dig. They said, "Well, I got this little lead piece." They thought they were seals or something, but they're actually the lead from the nails. I'm sorry, lead from roofing nails. The old roofing nails for the steel roofs. They put that lead coating on there, so when they hit it, it would seal the hole in and everything. But I see a lot of guys trying to figure out what those are, but they're just for roofing, sheeting and everything, and that's what they used to use back then. But I think we have one of our favorite listeners. I think it's Brandon Stewart.
Hey, Derek and Craig, how are you guys?
I was hoping it was you, brother. I was
Hey,
going to
what's
look
up?
pretty dumb.
Yeah, I'm going to say, though, that the slate roof tacks are much larger than the tacks that you're describing. The slate roof tacks are typically, they jay off. They're always bent to one side, and they're usually a hexagon or octagonal shape. They're very flat.
Oh, okay.
All of our old home sites up here, you dig those everywhere. I think what you're talking about is either furniture tack, but also what somebody had identified to me that's been metal detecting a hell of a lot longer than me. A lot of those little tacks actually came from the leather working on a lot of the harnesses as well, because you'll usually find a lot of D buckles and little square buckles, tack buckles. You'll get those little tacks. It's almost like the adornments around the outside of the leather working to keep the two parts of the saddle together.
That would make more sense to me because this is actually a military.
I've got a ton of horse tack stuff in this yard.
Yeah, see, that would make more sense to me, too. I couldn't figure out why there'd be a piece of random furniture out in this field, when I'm finding horse tack crap. But apparently, they also, those little, if you look at the pictures of like 1,800 saddles, all around the outside, they're literally touching pretty much edge to edge. It almost looks like a decorative border, but it's actually holding the two sections of leather together.
That makes a lot of sense, Brandon. Thank you. Because I was thinking for slate, I just couldn't figure out. They're not really long enough for that, but that's what the guy said. But it was a military, it was Spanish American War fort. So they...
Which would make a lot more sense for it to be a leather adornment as opposed to be an old lazy boy recliner laying in the middle of a field.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I was finding too many of them and finding bullet casings from back then. They weren't the blanks from the reenactment or nothing. These were actually military the casings that they lost or dropped or whatever right there. So that would actually make more sense.
Right.
They had I'm sure they had some kind of cavalry right there anyways. So.
But yeah, if you ever find those slate roof tacks, you'll know it right off. Every one of them looks like an octagon on the top or a pentagon. It's always a non-rounded shape, and you can see where the tack part that goes down through is usually there's a little, it's almost like a shank on a button, but it pops up through the top. It's a two-piece thing that gets punched down through the top piece.
Right.
There, as opposed to being a one-piece thing where those are usually domed for the saddles or for the furniture.
Right.
It's always flat on the roofing ones. They didn't have any bumps up on them or anything because it would catch things coming down on the roof. But the flat ones were the ones for the old slate roofs. We find thousands of those at the old cellar hole.
Yeah. I never thought about something. That brings up something else, Brandon. The old steamer chests and suitcases that were made out of wood. The I don't know, it's veneered wood or whatever, but they had a lot of those small tack kind of nails holding all the pieces on. Those things were built really durable.
My grandfather, as a kid, had some old luggage that had what we called alligator skin on it. That's what it looked like. I assume it's some sort of leather or suede or whatever, but it had those little brass tack adornments, again, around those two. But it could be the same type of thing. It's hard to identify, I guess, something that small.
Right. I just knew they were sharp as dickens. So boy, they were sharp as a needle. I mean, we're not play toys, that's for sure. Like nails today. I mean, they have a pretty, almost like they're sharp, but they weren't like this. This thing come right down into, would stab right through your hand, no problem, right into your skin.
Right.
Yeah, it was like no effort at all. But how you been doing? Because I didn't see you. I don't think you were on the last show. You probably working again. You worked too much.
Thursday I was feeling a little shitty. Sorry.
That's all right. I did it today. I did that too earlier.
A little poopy.
Yeah, a little poopy.
I your swear too, and I just repeated it. Yeah, no, I didn't listen to any of the shows on Thursday. I've got seasonal allergies up here, which are terrible. But
yeah,
I've only been out a couple of times this year. Haven't done a whole lot metal detecting. Done a lot more of the hiking type things, looking for the old spots, and doing a real lot into trying to get into the LiDAR maps in my area, which not a lot is available.
Right.
But that makes a huge difference with if you're not going to put the legs on the ground, or if you're going to, you can at least put yourself in the right direction within, so many yards at a time, as opposed to what I'm doing is I'm literally taking old walls into the woods off of an old Class 6 road and sometimes right off the side of a highway. And eventually you're going to run into some anomaly of either an odd plant or a cross-section of walls where there's probably something nearby.
Right.
And this is always done in 2 trips. You could spend 5 miles doing it and then bring the detector the second time, but I'm not going to carry all of that, just on a chance that I find it. So, and I enjoy the hiking anyway. So,
well, you're not far off though, because I've been doing a lot of thinking about that. Everywhere, not everywhere, but I mean, a lot of times when I went up to Tennessee and hunted with Bill and Tom there, we were hunting and we could see a major interstate right there, and it's now it's an interstate, but I mean, there was an old Civil War road bed and right along through there. And when I hunted with Craig up in Virginia, I mean, the trenches were right by I-95 and 495. You could see the interstate from there, and you're hunting down into the, they can't see you because it's all wooded up and everything. But
well, I should have showed you the one that's in the middle of the Temple Field. I mean, there's actually two.
Mm-hmm.
I showed you that archaeological site, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 25 yards past that is a trench that goes across the whole side of that hill.
Yeah, just you never know, Brandon, because you're on the right trail though. If you go, because there has to be some kind of activity. Usually, if there's an interstate or something, there was something there before, some kind of road, and they usually had houses along through there and stuff. That's what I would think. That's not a bad place to look and just follow it in and see where it takes you. That's called adventure, brother.
Well, I'll tell you. Well, just this past Wednesday, I was on Josh Kimmel's radio show, and I was telling him about this cellar hole that's literally on the side of a state highway that I drive by on the way to work and on the way home from work.
Right.
You can see it from the highway. It's in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. It's no more than 100 feet off the road, and I avoided this place for the 7 years I've been detecting until about a year and a half ago. And I said, well, I imagine anybody that's seen it has metal detected it. I'll tell you what, that's one of the more productive sites I've ever been to. I can't go back there without finding either flat buttons or coins or watch winder or something to that effect. This past Sunday, a week ago tomorrow, I found a silver spoon at that site, a little tiny one with the monogrammed initials on it. It's just unbelievable. I think that everybody's had the same philosophy that I did. Well, it's too easy to see. Somebody else had to have been there, so everybody just left it alone.
Hit it again, man. I've learned that over the years. Hit it, because if anything else, they got all the junk out of there, and you're just going to dig good targets. I mean, that's the way I've always looked at it.
Well, and I just go back there when I've only got a short time to kill. I'm not going to go hiking deep into the woods right now. All the fields are being planted. So if I've got a short 1 to 2 hour window where I want to throw some metal detecting in, that's my go-to spot. I used to do that at like local schools and parks and stuff like that. But this one cellar hole on the side of the highway tends to be my spot, and you're visible to everybody and their brother who drives by, and people are probably thinking, what's this idiot doing over there in the woods just off the side of the highway? Well,
ching, ching, buddy. You all stay away. Yeah, y'all can just stay away. No problem.
That's what I said to Josh. I said, I'm going to put a sign up saying, hunt it out.
Hunt it out.
That way when I'm not there, people don't worry about it. There's nothing to find here.
Yeah, you guys were, I saw, and bring it because you were on Josh's show, but I was looking through Relic Radio and a few other metal detecting shows, and I think it was Mark Hoover, and I want to say Bill Marsh was on. I have to go back and listen to episodes now. You guys are making me work now. I have to go back and see what everybody's saying now. Because I just
they did one a couple of weeks ago. They were on there with Loy, and Loy actually actually asked if he could schedule me in. I think it's March 17th or something like that, because he wants to hear some more about the New England part of the history. And again, it's one of those pet peeves of mine that nobody from New England seems to have any good stories or anything to talk about. It's always Civil War, which I'm jealous of. It kills me that I've never dug a 3-ring bullet. I've never seen a mini ball dug out of the ground. I've never seen a box plate in person. I've never seen any of these things. And he was telling me in text message, he goes, he's never actually seen anything from, the large cents or the 1812 stuff to be digging with somebody to be able to find, or reals or anything like that. So, it's one of those things that we always talk about it. You get jealousy of the regions where people dig. I'm so jealous to not be able to dig a lot of Civil War stuff. We get some of the buttons that I assume returned home, but never a bullet. I'd never see anybody up here dig that stuff, and it, like, you guys can get the reals down south, but you don't see as many of, like, say, the state copper coins or the King George coppers as much as we see up north.
The only large cent I ever dug here in Florida was a Canadian large cent, believe it or not, 1901, I think it was. Canadian large cent. That's as close as I ever got to one down here. I'm sure that, I'm trying to think, Greg Pompano or maybe even, My brain's fried. The New Age Goonie guys. Dwight Collin. I always forget Dwight's last name. I was like, ah. But anyway, yeah. They have found some Civil War stuff down here at one time or another. I think they dug an Eagle plate, or I think it was Greg Pompano that dug that. But it is through here. It's just real sparse. Unless you can find where they went through or something like that. Yeah, I was surprised that we were digging 1700 stuff up there at that Florida Hunt 4 hunt. I mean, that trigger guard that they found, it was like 1778 or something like that. That was pretty awesome. The activity was around, but it's just not as plentiful like the Civil War stuff, like where Craig lives and Bill and Tom, in Tennessee and stuff. That's where I've dug my first actual Civil War bullet, was up there in Virginia. And then I dug one in Tennessee also, a couple of them. But, yeah, I mean, it gets to you after a while. It's like, God, man, I wish I can get my coil over some. Because, you see a lot of guys. Some of these guys are, they have, like Craig. I mean, he's been digging for over 30 years and never had found a $5 gold piece, $20 gold piece, anything like that. But he finds reals and stuff quite often, half reals. So, if you don't get your coil over,
I find a lot more than most people have, and and the cut ones. And
I've never found. I found that 4 real.
I mean, my friend next door dug a $1 gold piece where I found the S&Y belt buckle. Yeah, and I found a ton of stuff in that. I found 3 half dimes. I think 2 or 3 3-cent pieces. Mm-hmm. It was an old plantation site right next to my tennis shop, and
nobody wanted to hunt it, right?
Well, it was so trashy, Bums were all in there drinking and stuff, and I actually took trash bags back there and just filled them up. And they had a dumpster right in the back of the shopping center, and just throw them right in the back. Yeah. It was funny how many shotgun shells were in there.
Yeah, so I get a lot of those.
That part of the town is, major. There's like apartments and skyscrapers all over the place now. Mm-hmm. But back then, even 50 years ago, was probably mostly woods back there now. Right. But
well,
but he got another one. He got probably about 3 blocks from where I dug the Cobb. Somebody let him dig this little tiny section right next to the front door, I guess, of their house, little row house. Mm-hmm. And I guess he got a signal, and it was under a rock, and he dug a $2.50 Indian gold piece.
Jeez. Brandon, I think we're out of luck, brother. You never dug a gold coin yet either, have you?
Oh, no. I've dug plenty of gold rings and different types of jewelry in weird situations and weird spots, but no. And it's funny that you mentioned you found a Canadian copper down there. Now, I'm only just over 2 hours from the Canadian border. I've only ever dug one.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It popped up at a school. It's an old baseball diamond that they'd put in probably in sometime in the late 1800s. It used to be a college, and then it went to a high school. Now it's a elementary grade school. But I have photos of it where the track was still there. They had a track and field bleachers set up, everything. But now it's just now they've torn it all down. You can't even tell. There's an old sidewalk there, and that's actually where I dug the drill sergeant's whistle from World War I. I dug that right along the old sidewalk, and you can't even see the sidewalk now because it's all overgrown with grass. They actually mow over top of it, but I came across it. You just never know. It's like that place you're talking about. You think, oh, everybody's already hit this thing, and they didn't even touch it. I mean, I'm digging a lot of stove parts, just all kinds of junk, really. But like for every 7 or 8 pieces of junk, I get at least a coin or something really cool looking. So. I don't hit it all the time, but I go in there even last.
I've also heard where people told me, oh, don't worry about that spot. So and so, and all these guys went in there and they've cleaned it out. There's nothing there.
I like those spots.
I've got probably a tenth of my collection on spots like that.
Yeah.
You always find, you might not find, a whole pile of stuff, but you can still find some really cool stuff.
Yeah, you're going to find quality, not quantity. So
one spot, the first day I walked in, I got an eagle plate.
Yeah.
And you just never know. I mean, until it's like people, say, oh, it's hunted out. I don't want to go there. Actually,
I don't trust them. I want to go.
I've always. When somebody tells me a spot's hunted out, to me, that's a challenge.
It is. I take it as a challenge, and I like it because it's probably not going to have as much junk in it because they've already kind of cleared off a lot of the big stuff. So that only leaves good stuff that's deep.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Or if you get to a cellar hole that you get to and there's a bunch of iron sitting on top of the stones. You got axe head, you've got oxen shoes, horseshoes, little pieces of bits of different types of iron from the old tractor equipment or something like that, and you can still pull out tomback buttons or flat buttons. And if you find a coin, it's almost like you're vindictive about the fact that, oh, well, you were in here and you took all that stuff out of the ground. Well, maybe you should have stuck around a little bit longer.
Yeah, I did it to Craig. I mean, I went up there and I was just horsing around, but that 3-ringer in his front yard or whatever, I think it was a 3-ringer, Craig, wasn't it? That, to me, it was like Craig's yard wasn't that big, but he'd been pulling stuff out for so long. He saw, yeah, you can hunt my yard. You're not going to find nothing, though. And sure enough, I come across it. And then Craig started finding stuff. You put that smaller coil on there and got in there. So it's a nice feeling when you can go in there and find one good thing. You know what I mean? That's like, okay, I feel vindicated now. So,
right.
Yeah. But yeah, the up there in New Hampshire, I've never been to New Hampshire. I want to go up there actually sometime or another. But it seems like
Derek, don't bother.
Oh, man, there's got to be some goodies up there, brother. Come on now, help a friend out.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of these spots, and I know Craig's very familiar with this. I'm now gotten into the mentality where I'm away from what I call the easy spots. I've gotten into the mapping, the legs on the ground. I'm going to try to get to spots that nobody else is probably going to put the effort into anymore. I find that as amusing to myself. Even if I get there and don't find a whole lot, it's a challenge. Exactly. Yeah. I want to be able to see who's the last person who attempted this. And a lot of these cellar holes that I'm getting to, especially the last couple of years where I've done really well with my finds, you can tell no one has been, or if they did, it was a long time ago with worse technology or just inexperienced metal detectorists. There's not a lot of high tones, but the mid tones are everywhere. And like Craig said, the shotgun shells, I mean, we can't go 5 square feet in any spot in the woods anywhere in New Hampshire. If you don't dig a shotgun shell or get the signal for one, you're obviously either A, cherry picking, or B, you haven't been there. You wouldn't pass up that signal that's the same as a button or a cuff link or a nickel signal or an Indian head signal. It just doesn't make any sense. I'm guessing that I'm going to spots that it was either old technology where they weren't picking them up, or they were people that were just not patient enough to assume that there are good targets that don't ring up like a silver coin every time.
Yeah, I got a guy that he runs a V6, and he came up with his own settings with that machine. All he wants to dig is silver. He doesn't care about pennies. He doesn't care about anything else. He just wants silver coins, and that's what he hunts for. And he has that thing set up sweet. It'll go off, it won't go off on anything else but a silver coin, or probably quarters and stuff, because it's in kind of the same range. But still, I'm like, okay, if you're digging, like barber quarters and dimes and stuff like that, boy, it'd be sure nice if you dug some of those mid-tones, because there's probably going to be something really cool. But everybody hunts the way they want to, whatever makes them happy. But yeah, even the parks around you, Brandon, have you tried any of the parks around you at all?
I did when I started metal detecting. There's a lot of detectorists up here in this part of the state of New Hampshire where I live. I'm in the southwest corner. They're everywhere. And everybody starts at a park. Everybody starts at a school.
Right.
I will tell you that when I first started digging this, now this is back when I had my Ace 250. This is my first year metal detecting. My first 2 old coins I found my first one was in a farm field, so we won't count that. That was a Massachusetts state copper. My second one was at the high school I went to, which is a mile and a half from my house. And I dug an 1838 large cent at the end of the track, right where between the track and the outbuilding where they keep all the pole vaulting materials and the long jump stuff and all that, the rakes.
Right
between those two, I dug an 1838 large cent, which to this day is still the best condition large cent I've ever dug since I started metal detecting. Of course, it was early winter. The ground was frozen solid, and I'm chipping away at it with a Walmart hand digger, and it took me probably 25 minutes to get it out of the ground, but the condition on it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. If you have dug that school before, how could you miss that signal? A large cent on the Ace 250 sounds like a dime, copper penny, quarter, right, half dollar, dollar. It's all the same tone.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those deals where it was just lucky that I went over that spot, took the chances at digging it. And to this day, I've dug probably at least 24 silver coins out of the high school. I do it during the winter time, typically, right, when there's nobody using the track or the football field or anything like that. I can't go back to that school without finding something. And the place was only built in the 1960s.
Right.
But we're finding coins out there. I found seeded dime on the soccer field. I found V-nickels. Of course, those come out of the ground looking like crap. Mm-hmm. But, that's the first place everybody goes. I don't do it so much anymore. I will hit it once in a while on a weekend during the winter time or early winter. Typically, I'm back to the point of just literally staying away from society. There's too many questions and too many people wanting to know what to do.
Yeah, that's true. I don't mind the curiosity part of it, because, like when I go to the beach, it's like, I end up, I don't mind talking to people, don't get me wrong, but when you're actually really trying to just enjoy yourself and hunt, and you constantly have people coming up to you that, what do you find? And what'd you find? And you can't tell them, I found 20 gold rings. Yeah, they're going to be all over you the rest of the day. So, I found some pull tabs and some pennies. That's about it, but you don't like to do that. But man, I tell you, you can get a crowd going pretty easy. I remember the one time it was me and Mike Miller and Paula Hill and Tom Jones there from the Hunt Club down here in Tampa or in St. Petersburg, and I think everybody was coming up to us in the middle. It was nighttime, so you have people walking up on you. You can't see them, and it's like, okay, once it happened once, you were okay. But I'm, hey, I got sharp pointed objects right here. I will stick you. So I didn't know who it was, but we ended up with hunting partners, and we didn't even really want them, but we did the right thing. Oh yeah, hang out, whatever you want to do. This is what I'm finding. I'm digging bottle caps because I knew they were bottle caps, and they lost interest rather quickly. So.
Now, have you guys ever had somebody walk up to you and was watching what you're doing? And I've had this happen with a couple of kids back when I started. Can I use that? Can I try it out?
Oh yeah, you constantly. I do anyway. I constantly do that. But usually, if you have your headphones on, that's what I figured. Headphones on and all that stuff, and you kind of play like, I can't hear you. Got to get headphones on. Or whatever. Because I'm actually, I had to travel to get to the beach. I'm like in the middle of the state just about, it seems like. Or, traveling 80 miles to get to Clearwater Beach or something. Or if I travel about the same to get to the East Coast. So, yeah, I don't like to get bothered too much. That's why I usually go at night. During the daytime, I don't mind it so much because I'm pretty much just out there horsing around anyways. But we always try to hit the beaches that aren't hit by everybody else, because any given day you go to Clearwater Beach, you're going to see 4 or 5 hunters out there. But I still go down there and find stuff. So, every detector, is going to be a little bit different, and the hunting styles are different. That's why I was asking you about the little parks and stuff around you. I just like to see you spend like an hour or two in an area that you could actually hunt it, and that there was stuff in there at one time or old stuff. Because I think with the technology changing, over the past at least 5 years or so, I think you'll have pretty good luck there. I mean, I could see you getting a little bit deeper, maybe, better target separation, especially, you start out with Ace 250, right?
Yeah, I started with the Ace 250. I still use the AT Pro. I now use the Tornado Coil, and it's funny that you bring that up. I have not been back to most of these parks or other schools other than the local high school probably since within the first couple of years of metal detecting. So you're talking 5 years. It's probably been at least that long since I've been to most of the parks with my machine, and knowing my machine, plus it's a newer machine, a much better machine. I just never really...
You don't want to deal with people.
Just to be right out there, I just don't like the public view, and I think people have a negative connotation about it. I think that I'd be more likely to have somebody call the police or somebody just to be able to say, you shouldn't be doing that here. This is a public spot. I don't like being in the spotlight of the public eye not even realizing what I'm doing. And I could easily say, well, I've been here for 3 hours. Go look and try to tell me where I dug a single hole.
Right, right.
I think they just all have a negative connotation to what you're doing.
Yeah, it seems like you run into that. You've run into some problems over the past year or two. I know
Many times.
It's like, you go to somebody's house, oh yeah, keep whatever you find, and they see, they're keeping it, and you can't really say anything because you don't want to ruin your reputation on jumping down somebody's throat about it, obviously. So you handled it right, but it still makes you mad.
Yeah, I've been
agreement.
kicked out of my local high school at least 3 times by somebody who works for the school when I've already gotten permission from the SAU office.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to sit there and argue with them the whole time. They won't put it in writing, so I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to say, hey, this is who I talked to. This is the commissioner of the SAU office. I have permission to be here, but I will leave if that's what you want me to do.
Right.
And then the next time I come back, it happens again and again and again. And it's usually somebody that's a dog walker that's walking around the track, or somebody that happens to be just going through the neighborhood and sees me doing it and wants to know why I'm doing it. Well, I'm doing it because I want to. It's really none of your business. But they just assume that you're doing something wrong, and it's just I just get so sick of that crap, and that's why I choose to go to the old farm fields and I choose to go to the woods. Yeah,
I've often had the analogy that if you're busy minding your own business, you won't have time to mind mine. That's in other words, I'm not hurt.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm not bothering you, don't bother me.
Exactly, Craig.
And I've never had anybody run me off out of here.
The way I used to do parks is I would start at the very back of the park where nobody could really see you.
Right,
especially from the street and stuff. And I would hunt, there, and then, slowly move up, to the, and somebody said something, and I said, it's just common sense in a way. I mean, you don't know what you're going to go through. I mean, some people, I've actually talked people down, a lot of times I'll show people what I found. Just to say, hey, it's oh my God, how much is that mercury dime worth? Oh man, maybe 50 cents if you're lucky.
Thousands.
Well, I did get run off from a place. I just remembered it too. I was in Webster, and I was hunting the old railroad track bed that went in front of City Hall. It's a road bed, but they have parades through there and everything else, and that's where me and Tony in Orlando, we used to hunt all the time. Before he moved, we dug over 150 railway seals and railway padlocks, mail bags, all kinds of railway stuff right through there. And we hunted it, God, for like a month straight. We were going twice a week. And it wasn't that big of an area, but there was just so many targets in there. And they were relatively shallow because underneath about 6 inches of grass and dirt, it was that rock, the railroad track rock, that they laid the tracks on. So you didn't have to dig real deep for this stuff. There was just so many targets, and the town sheriff, he gave me such a hard time and said, look, you don't even see where we're digging at. It looks nice. We even brought a rake up there to kind of rake, any like loose stuff around the dirt and whatever, rake it into the ground so you can't see it, rake it into the grass. And this guy gave us such a hard time, said, okay, you know what, we're going to leave. And he goes, well, if you want to hunt here anymore, or metal detect here, you're going to have to go to the city council and ask permission. So that's exactly what we did. We didn't back down. We went, I think they had a meeting 2 weeks later, and it turns out that all but one person on the board or whatever didn't have a problem with it. They thought it was pretty cool because we brought in some stuff that we had found there, and it turned out one of the people on the city council also wanted to start a museum up in that town, and he was looking for stuff. So hey, that was a perfect opportunity. So hey, we got railway stuff here. We're finding right out front here. We'll give it to you. We'll donate it to you. Because how many railway seals do you really need? I mean, we dug 150 of them. I mean, I only need like 2 or 3, but just for my collection. But I donated a bunch of stuff there. All the railroad spikes and stuff like that we dug. We donated that too because you can't do nothing with them down here anyways. A lot of guys don't know this, and I probably should say it on here. As far as railway stuff, at least in Florida, you can't recycle any of it. We found, I think Tony had about 65 railway plates and spikes stacked up in his shop, and he goes, when I move from here, I'll just take it down for scrap metal, I guess. And he took it down there, so we can't accept it. We can't take anything railway, even though it was from the Orange Belt Railway. the railroad. That ended in like 1906. They ripped it all up or something, but they wouldn't take it at all. Anything with railway or electrical, they won't touch. So it's like, he goes, what do I do with them now? I said, dig a hole and throw them in there. It's about the only thing he could do with them, unless he's going to use them for like blacksmithing or something. So yeah, be careful what you think you can take to a recycler. Railway stuff is probably out of the question unless your state allows it. I thought it was kind of funny because I've
heard in the past where people stole a half a mile of rails.
Oh yeah.
In New York City, they put up like fake construction people, and they'd be up on, and they'd just take all the wires off the poles, wrap them up, steal them for the.
Oh, that's why you can't. We find down here, we find a lot of pieces of copper wire, ground wires. From when they had a house there, they, whatever, they cut a piece off and they just drop it on the ground and connect the wires up and everything. Well, I had a 5-gallon bucket just slapped full of the stuff. I'd had it for like 5 years, and I just always threw the copper wire in there. They wouldn't take it. They said, this is ground wire. I said, yeah, but I dug it out of the ground. It wasn't like, there's little, like 3 or 4 inch pieces.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They wouldn't take it. I'm like, what do you do with it? I mean, let's throw it in the garbage can, I guess. It's not good for anything else because you can't, because that's why I saved that stuff. It just pays for some gas money and stuff like that. But I think it's scrap metal, though. I bought my MXT off of all scrap metal that I'd found, metal detecting and stuff that I'd gone around picked up. Like somebody's getting rid of a barbecue grill or whatever else. I just grabbed it, stripped it down, and that's how I got the money together back then to buy an MXT. Because I think at the time they were like $900, $800, something like that. It was, for me at the time it was still is. $800 is hard to come off of anymore, for me. So, yeah, that's all. I bought my first MXT anyways. So, I don't throw anything away if I can help it. I still save all my scrap that I find, unless it's, railway stuff or something like that. But
Now, with railroad spikes, though, the one good thing you can do with a railroad spike is it's high carbon steel. That's great for electrolysis.
I never thought about that. Okay, well, yeah, I got a few of them around here.
Steel, I mean, it's better. Obviously, it doesn't give off the noxious gas like stainless steel or something does, but that high carbon steel will last you forever, especially if you've got an angle grinder and get it down to smaller pieces. Use that as your catalyst, and there's no plating, there's no nothing. I mean, I use welding rods because I don't find a lot of railroad spikes.
Right.
But the high carbon steel from a railroad spike would be perfect for anybody doing electrolysis. Cut off little chunks. You could probably do a heck of a business on eBay. A lot of people are looking for that because they don't want to cross plate with different things, and they don't want the noxious gases from the, people use stainless steel spoons and stuff like that. You have to put that outside, otherwise you're going to put that stuff in your house.
And I thank you for that, because when I was doing electrolysis, and you're the first one that ever told me, hey, stop using an old spoon because it's stainless steel and you're going to end up killing yourself. And I didn't think nothing. Luckily I was doing it outside.
Yeah, at least put it in your garage or in a shed or something like that. But yeah, no, the high carbon, I mean, that's the old brushes for motors. Of course, most of the motors now are brushless, so you can't find that anymore. But like the old dishwashers and stuff like that, you could get that out of. If you've got railroad spikes, cut those things down into little, half-inch chunks. Those are absolutely perfect for anybody that wants to get into trying to cook an old relic or even a piece of iron, or very delicately try it with a coin. I mean, it works amazing.
Yeah, I'm definitely I got a few of them around here still, but, one reason why I was keeping them is, I've always wanted to try my hand at forging. And, I just haven't I got too many things on my plate already. But, I mean, my next door neighbor actually has a forge he's going to be setting up pretty soon. And he's like, oh, man, I have along my back fence, I have different stuff stacked up there. But he saw the buckets of scrap metal, and I was loading up stuff. And he goes, oh, you're not taking that over, are you? And I said, what, the bucket of railway spikes? I said, no, I can't. They won't accept them. He goes, oh, don't get rid of them. I'll take them from you. I'm a forger. I'll forge that stuff right up into knives and everything else. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So, I found somebody that wanted that bucket anyways, but I wanted to try that forging.
Yeah, my friend Steve next door, he's got a forge in the backyard, and he was out there today, and he makes, like, colonial knives, and he's a reenactor, and like the whole uniform and everything, for colonial stuff and does tours, down in Alexandria as a living. But he was telling me square nails are valuable. That people want, the original square nails.
Oh,
I don't know how much they pay for them, but
what's the original iron? That's Civil War iron, a lot of them, and that was really
they
pure.
Use it like furniture and stuff.
Yeah.
So they want authentic,
historical. Yeah. Yeah.
If they have to replace something,
One thing I always wanted, Craig, was the digging tools, the hand shovels, whatever you want to call them, trowels that they sell, but they're made out, not all of them, but the one I have is Taiwanese or something like that. It bends so easy it's not funny. You almost swear it was a rubber band. But I always wanted to have one of those made out of, like forged. Somebody forged one, and I'd buy it from them in a heartbeat. Because I just feel like, man, that has some history to it, it has character, and it's functional. And if they do it right, it's probably going to be the best shovel you ever found in your life. It's going to be a tough thing to dig in the ground with. I mean, it's going to last a while. But that's what I want to get. I actually want to make one for myself. I just don't, like I said, I don't have the time to learn it. That's an art form right there. I watch that Forged in Steel series, and they have to make something and they actually try it out and make sure it works and everything. But they make some fantastic looking knives and swords and everything else on that show. I mean, I don't have that kind of talent yet with it, but I could make a small digging tool anyway. So,
the question, Derek, would be: would you have to season it like the old frying pans? Are you going to have to oil it down, then heat it up, oil it down, heat it up?
I don't know. I don't. And once they harden it, if they harden it right, that thing isn't gonna. It's not going to break, or it's not going to lose an edge very easy. I don't think, especially if they put some kind of.
Oh no, it's just for a matter of not rusting.
Oh, rusting! I'm sure it would rust. I don't know. I mean, I don't know very much about metallurgy. Of course, I weld stuff together that probably shouldn't be welded together, but it's not in a stress point, so I really don't care. But I do make.
All right, fellas, I'm going to jump off the line. I just really wanted to really get in there about the Tacks. I was on here much too long than I expected to, but
hey, you're
hopefully that was some good information. And again, I'm glad that the electrolysis thing was a good thing for you. I mean, stainless steel is very dangerous. Stay out of that crap. I mean, I know a lot of people do it, people that are starting with electrolysis. And the way I learned about that is go to anything that you type into Google, how to do electrolysis, and type in noxious gas. And the first thing they're going to tell you is not to use stainless steel, use a high carbon steel. Again, the railroad spikes are perfect for that. And if you go to somebody that you get a welding rod company, like up here we have Air Gas that does that. The welding rods are high carbon steel. I believe it's 97 or 98% carbon. There's no ill effect by using it. Granted, I wouldn't do it in my house still. I still do it in my garage.
Do it in your garage. Don't do it in the house.
You won't notice any smell. You won't notice any fumes coming off of it, nor any smoke. So, especially if you do it low enough.
Hey, I got a question before you leave, because I've never wanted to try it, because me and electricity, well, I can get shocked off a circuit breaker that's shut off all the way. So that tells you. You got the positive and the negative. You got your good item, and you got your catalyst item on
right. Your catalyst and your anode.
If you touch that damn water, you're going to get fried, aren't you?
Does nothing. Nope. Absolutely nothing.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure. I mean, I didn't want to stick my tongue down there and say, no.
You could be holding on to your catalyst and your anode at the same time under the water, and it does nothing.
Okay. Well, that's good information, Brandon. Thanks. I don't have to worry about frying myself.
But again, you're using such a low voltage at the same time. Like I use an old battery charger for my cell phone. Yeah, and I soldered on clamps on both ends. Again, it's such a low voltage that there's nothing that can really happen. Plus, it also has a lot to do with what you're using for the brine solution that's actually in the water. So many parts baking soda, so many parts salt.
Right.
It's a formulated calculation that you have zero chance of electrocuting yourself. Even for you, Derek, unless you plug it into a dryer or a stove outlet where you're using 240 volts, you're probably going to be safe.
You're not supposed to do that? Oh, okay. Well, I was trying to clean the coins
I bet
faster.
You'll cook it a hell of a lot quicker. I mean, you can do electrolysis in 30 seconds as opposed to like 4 hours.
I really just stick the
But
coin in between the two wires.
For the item that you're cleaning, is it?
Yeah, it's burnt.
Yeah, when it explodes, you know you've gone too long.
Hey, disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer.
Yeah, don't do it. That's the disclaimer. Don't use 240 volts.
No, that's not a good idea. Oh, gosh. Well, Brandon, thanks for calling in, brother. And you did give me some great information.
I'll listen to the rest of the show, guys.
All right, man. Catch you later.
All right.
Oh, gosh. You made me forget what I was going to bring up next, but it doesn't matter. I can see sticking a coin in between two wires on a 220. It'll clean it up real fast. Probably melt it down, too. But, yeah, Craig, I have the worst luck with electricity. I can work with it, but this started back. My dad was the same way. We have electricity doesn't like us. He had shut off all the main breaker and everything in my grandmother's house, and we were redoing it. And I'm taking outlet covers off. I was about 10 years old, and the screwdriver slipped and went into the hole of the outlet. Well, he had the power off, so he wasn't really worried about me too much. And I'm trying to, stuck it in there, and I got shocked. I don't know where the hot juice was coming from, but it was a really old house, so it could have been anything really. You could have had another breaker somewhere, whatever. I got fried pretty bad. But this actually started, I think I was in first grade, and the water pump stopped working. It made a really loud noise. My mom came down in the basement, and there I was. I'd taken a screwdriver, and I was going to fix the water pump because it turned off. They cycle, but back then I didn't know any better. So I was going to fix it, so I got one of Dad's Craftsman screwdrivers and started working on it, and that pump kicked on, and it jammed, and they had to call somebody out. He says, "I can't believe your son lived through it, sticking a screwdriver down into these little holes in there," and I actually stopped the motor. I don't remember ever getting fried, but that may be some of my problem. I don't know. Got another caller here. I think I got him. Yeah, who we got on the line there?
Just Chris?
This is Derek.
Engel.
Oh, it's Chris Engel.
Derek, what's going on? Hey, buddy.
Not too much. Turn on your volume, brother, on your computer.
Oh, all right. Bear with me here.
No problem. Take your time.
There we go.
Chris, how you doing, brother? I hadn't talked to you on the phone or anything in a while.
Yeah, since the hurricane. Hurricane here and everything else.
Man, you guys got hit about.
I just want to call in.
Yeah, no problem.
I got in a little late. Huh?
I said, what have you been up to, man? I haven't talked to you physically in a year.
Yeah, well, just working. I mean, oil field's kind of picking up, so it's been a little bit busy and all. So I've been working almost some days, sometimes 6 days a week, but occasionally I'll get out. But it's very few and far between. Finally got out last weekend for a couple of days. Don and I got out and hunted an old plantation, but it was loaded with nails and iron. But it was good, though. We still picked through, and Don picked up an old 1854 French coin, and
wow,
I picked up an old pocket watch that had been pretty well smashed, but it was something,
It's still a pocket watch.
Oh, yeah, and just getting out. That's the biggest thing, just getting out protecting.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, people think, every time you got to go out, you got to find something. I don't look at it that way. I go out, especially with people and all, just going out and having a good time. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's
do your best and hope you find something.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find one good thing, that's great. But other than that, you're just out there having fun.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Well, I got it on the radio show late tonight. I was thinking, because Thursday I forgot it and said, oh, man, I got to get on Saturday. So I got to messing around this house here. It seemed like there's always something to do. And time I got up and said, oh, man, I got to jump on the show real quick.
Yeah.
But anyway, just wanted to check on you guys. See Craig, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm living in Middletown, Virginia now.
Yeah, I saw
Battlefield.
Been watching you. Yeah, been seeing your Battlefield yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it up here. It's Northern Virginia is so busy and so much traffic and taxes. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So up here, it's one of the smaller towns up, in this part of Virginia. So it's just, I love it. I got a 0.8 of an acre yard. So we found quite a few stuff in the yard. I got a beer tap today. It was made out of brass.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I like those kind of relics. Something you don't find every day.
Oh, I do. Yeah, and that's the thing for me. I mean, it's not, a lot of times we go out and go looking for Civil War stuff, but there's other things you find, other relics.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I like. It's just getting out there. The biggest thing, like I said, is just getting out and hunting.
Yeah, have you been over there to Vicksburg lately at all? I know you.
No, I guess last time was 2014 when all of us went over there.
I guess it's been a while. Oh my gosh. Well, Chris, I got to tell him this story because I do this to several of the guys. If I don't hear from somebody in like 2 or 3 months, I automatically start calling them because I get worrying about them. I did that to Chris a couple times and Paul over there in California. And, from now on, I have to say, Chris is very good. At least once a month, I'll get a message on Facebook. How you doing today? I know you're still alive, brother.
Yeah, and then check on you during hurricanes. I tell you.
Oh, man.
It's sad. It's sad a lot of times that we get so wrapped up in our lives. And, we have, like me especially, I'm at work and say, when I get home now, I'm going to call Dick, or I'm going to call Craig, or I'm going to call so-and-so. And the time I get on that road and driving home, my mind is just gone elsewhere. Oh, terrible.
Yeah, Chris Angle, what, if you don't mind, give him a rundown. You've been hunting for quite a while, you and Don, for the listeners out there, because you haven't been on since, oh my gosh, man, when we were on Mixler, I think. Wasn't that it?
Yeah.
It's been two years. We got to get you on the show, brother, sometime or another here.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Definitely message me.
Yeah. Well, Don and I still go out hunting as much as we can. He's in the oil field too, so it keeps him busy. So he and I kind of hit and miss places here and there. And
is he still doing detector doodads, right?
Yeah, he's still doing that, and that thing's keeping him busy. I kind of pick at him all the time. I always ask him, I said, did you ever think that making these aftermarket attachments for metal detectors would be this big? And he said, well, he said, you just don't know.
You don't.
It keeps him up all hours of the night, running, making stuff for people and getting them sent out, and plus having to work and all.
Well, it's still, it's something that led, he's a metal detectorist. He starts making parts for him and everything. He created his own business. I mean, that's an adventure, man. I'm glad it's working out for him because I've bought stuff from him in the past. He has a lot of neat items. What is it? DetectorDoodads.com, Chris?
Yeah, DetectingDoodads.com. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys check it out. He has some neat stuff there that he makes, 3M printers and stuff like that, camera mounts and magnifying, almost like magnifying glasses. But to see what
for your pinpointers, yeah.
Right. And, makes a little bit of everything.
Right there on they go right on the pinpointers, and you always have to reach in your pocket or something like that to get your little magnifying
spyglass. Yeah, a little
right
spyglass.
On the end of the pinpointer.
Yeah,
I
got one of those things that puts the charger on the coil, and it's a lot easier, to use.
Oh, for the dais,
yeah. On the dais, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it is. He's really modified those clips. Yeah, and they're great for that. Man, it's so much easier.
Yeah. I'd like to have both of you guys on the show
because it's kind of fragile, there, and this thing it just pushes right on, and it's just so much easier.
Yeah, Chris, I'd like to get both of you guys on the show. It'd be kind of cool show to do. You and Don both, and it made me laugh, guys. And Chris, this is an old story for you, but I still remember the video you and Don made where you climbed down into I think it was you or Don, one of the two, climbed down into a well to save a pit bull.
That was me.
That was you.
Yeah, me and Don it was me. Don and I got down there, so of course I climbed down that well, and we first all tried to rope the dog and pull him up that way, but just didn't do so. Luckily, there was a deer camp there that his nephew had a big long ladder. And she got down in there and that dog was just, of course, it was a friendly dog anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Just picked him up and hauled him out, and
he couldn't wait to get out of there. That's what it was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was down about 15 foot in that well, and of course, after we got him out, we filled the well back in and all that. Not the well, but covered it up. And,
yeah, yeah.
We've been out there several times since, and but like I say, it's just so hard with his work and my work. Us kind of getting together, and then we try to make it a 4 or 5 day deal when we do. So
right.
It's just hard.
How's Kenny doing?
Yeah,
Have you heard about?
Yeah, I thought. Well, Kenny and I text each other every morning.
Good.
Okay. He's doing good. He's still he's up in Missouri now, and
oh wow,
got some good places up there. He's been going. So like I say, it seems like sometimes you just not really want to drift away from people, but just you get wrapped up in your own lives.
Yeah, life happens.
Go here
man.
and go there.
Yeah.
And,
it's like with you, Chris. I figure if there's anything wrong, man, you would have called me. You made it through the hurricane and everything over there in Texas, and the flooding and everything else while we were going through a hurricane here and everything. And that's been a couple of years ago now, but I guess it wasn't this past year, was it? It was the year before last. But still, if you ever need anything, just give me a buzz, man.
Well, and that's the same thing here. You guys, I mean, that's what it's all about. Helping each other. It won't take me long to get on the road.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Of course, and Derek, we got one more month. We're back into a hurricane.
Yeah, I know, brother. It's going to be a doozy too. I can just feel it now. It's been.
Oh, me too. And that's what scares me.
Yeah,
that's what scares me.
I battled with it here pretty good, and I told my wife at least all the bad trees are down now. I don't have to worry about that part now. I just got to worry about blowing away. So.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have many hurricanes for a long time.
Yeah,
all of a sudden,
10 years.
All hell broke loose last year.
Yeah, all broke loose. Yeah,
those storms were bad enough that we get these oak worms. You know what I'm talking about, Chris? The hairy ones that make you itch.
Yeah.
They make you itch. They're hairy caterpillars, is what they are. There's oak worms and there's oak caterpillars. I saw one, and usually these things are making cocoons everywhere. They're coming out of the trees like crazy. I saw one. Mm-hmm. That's it. And I'm like, wow, that hurricane really blew a lot of that stuff out of the trees. We had problems with mold down here. People still have a cough. I still have a partial cough from that because all these really 150-year-old trees or whatever broke, and they're hollow in the center. These water oaks are hollow a lot of times.
Yeah.
But all that old mold and stuff, and people couldn't figure out, and the doctors they couldn't figure out. They said it's not a virus, it's not the flu. They tested everybody for this. They don't know what it is, and it just you suffer with it. Suffered for 3 months with that.
Yeah,
it's crazy times, brother. But yeah, I'd like to have you guys on the show sometime. If you message, I think you just got booted off somehow. Well, Chris, thanks for calling in. Craig, he's gone. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, he must have got his phone probably just cut out on him. No, Chris Angle, really nice guy. And check out detectingdoodads.com. Don does some really good work there with 3M printers and stuff like that. He makes a lot of different camera mounts that'll fit on your detectors, the charger cord for the Deus that's a better connector, I guess, for the coil. He makes all kinds of stuff, and I hadn't even thought about having him on the show, and since we were on Mixler, I guess. It's been a long time. Got it showing, about 4 years ago, wasn't it, Craig? Something like that. But at any rate, good people, man. I was glad he called in. That surprised me there. I didn't recognize the area code. I'm like, oh, who is this? Shoot. You make friends in this hobby, man. There's people that, Tony, I was telling you guys about. I used to hunt with him at least 3 days a week for 2 years straight. Learned a lot. The guy is a master with White's machines. He did field testing for him, all this stuff. And I learned a lot from him with the White's machines. And then he had to move from Orlando up to North Carolina. And I finally... I hear from him every once in a while, make sure he's okay. But Chris, I guess, didn't want to hang up on us. You still there?
No, I didn't want to hang up on you. It dropped or something.
Yeah, it just dumped you right off.
It's these modern electronics.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know,
Modern inconveniences.
Yeah, modern inconvenience.
yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm always, yeah, I tell you,
They're great until they mess
you,
up, and then you.
Oh, I know.
You don't know what to do.
You don't. Oh, you can do this so much with the iPhone, this and that. I said, well, I bought the iPhone to talk with, and that's about it. They said, well, you can do this, you can do this. I said, well, I don't know.
Oh,
man like me.
You don't do it.
I'm going to keep.
Don't do it, Chris. No, don't do it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
There's a guy here on chat, Jason Julian, he's asking about detectors. Well, it's kind of hard to somebody say, well, what kind of detector should I get? Well, for a beginner or newbie, it's kind of hard to say, well, hey, get this one, get this one, get this one. I mean, there's so many good ones out there. So it's just, a matter of doing the research and, what's your price range and what can you afford, and...
well, I told him...
Of course...
Oh, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to say that, with the new detectors, I've had that question come at me quite a bit, and we talked about it on the show, too. And if you're new to the hobby, brand new, and you haven't done it yet, you buy yourself something within reason, lower end. That way if you're going to like the hobby. Once you figure that out, then you can start really seriously looking for detectors that match you up.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Another good one is, talk to a company and say, I'm getting into the hobby and I want a lower end detector to try. Do you have any used ones for sale? And a lot of times they do. Or buy a new one and then say, hey, can I trade it in up, to the next higher models or whatever. And just about every company's going to do that. I mean, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I'm glad you brought that up, Craig. True, that is true.
Yeah, definitely. And once you figure out, you like the hobby and everything, you want to get a detector. Like I see Barb brought up the Equinox to them, and if talking with her, I don't know if she has one or not. I didn't read that part of it, but talk to somebody that already has one and see what the pros and the cons of it are. Mm-hmm. Take what you can use out of that applies to you, and make a decision that way. Because a lot of these people, Chris has used a ton of machines, so has Craig and me and everybody on chat right now. Barbara has like 2 or 3 machines that I know about. So, if you're talking to her, she's going to steer you in the right direction. That's for sure, Jason. So I'm glad you saw that, Chris, because I was at the top of the chat for some reason. Matter of fact, it tells me there's 3 on chat right now, and I'm looking down here, and there's a lot more than 3 chats on here or messages.
But, yeah, there's a lot on here.
Yeah.
I've still got my old White's machines I had 30 years ago.
Right.
That's still working all, and of course, metal detectors had just advanced so much. Back then, it was a silly, Craig, and too, Derek. Mm-hmm. Back then, it was just a single tone.
Yep.
It was just a single tone. I mean. And then they come out with the discriminating and this and that, but you still had to listen for that tone because there's variances in a tone. I know on my V5, I can listen to that thing, and I can tell you, when I go over something, I can tell you whether it's a nickel or I can tell you what's a pull tab.
Yeah.
But that variance and that tone.
Yeah, it's a nuance.
Say, it's only
the nuance in the tone.
Well, it's only a single tone, but
doesn't matter.
If you learn... It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You don't, and of course, a lot of new machines have the VDIs. The VDIs are pretty good. Me personally, listen for the tones. The tones are going to tell you everything you need to know. Now, I don't
know if you caught the first part of the show or not. I can't really talk about the the name or the kind or whatever about the detector, but I'm been testing these couple detectors out. I got a low-end detector, under $300, and Chris, the dang thing has such a fast recovery delay speed, it blew my mind. It is as fast, it's darn near as fast as a Deus. I mean, close to it, or a Bliss tool. I was ripping that coil across there, and I actually had my wife Pauline shooting the video, and she says, "My God, that thing is fast." I said, "Yeah, it is. For what it is, for being a low-end detector." Yeah, I don't know. And I told her, I said, I don't know. The other ones got to be better than this. I can't see them making, you know what I mean? It's got to get better from this one because there's a mid-level and an upper-level detector in the same group. I'm like, this is going to be something good, and I can't, I don't talk about it right now, but in a couple of weeks I'll probably be able to. But yeah, I was very, very impressed with the way the technology, like the Equinox, it's progressed. It's moved forward. You had the AT Max. It's a little bit of better improvement than the AT Pro. I don't know whether it's because they're able to get these kind of circuits and these little chips and stuff that are a lot more affordable. I don't know. I guess it's just a progression of detecting, obviously, but I didn't expect that out of a low-end detector. I expected, okay, how's this machine going to perform, really, after I've been using all these other detectors for so long? That shocked me. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, these machines are definitely good starter machines anyways, even the... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
You're right, Craig. Derek, you say, well, you have the AT Max. I've used the AT Max, fantastic machine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you say, well, what about Technics C2? Well, I've used those. Those are fantastic.
Those are really good.
I understand I haven't used one, but the macro cruisers, they say those are good.
Yeah, just don't get the Racer.
Racer.
I had one of those, brother, and not nitpick. I don't know if there was something wrong with them. I bought it used. There could have been something wrong with it, but it wasn't for me. It definitely wasn't for me. I was ready to wrap it around a tree the first day. I'm like, what the heck? But then again, it's a low range detector too. I mean, so my expectations were probably too high for it. But I've heard that the new macro, the one you just said, was actually really good.
The cruisers,
Cruisers, yeah.
They are,
that's good though. I mean, they improved on it.
Yeah, and of course, Lights has come out with the Equinoxes, which I years ago, ran the E-Track and loved it. But I started getting the arthritis in my elbow, and it just kind of But it ran good. I mean, so it's just you just got to, like you said, you've got to go to a reputable metal detector dealer that does sell used machines, and buy a used one. And first of all, talk to them. These guys, a good reputable dealer is not going to try to sell you something you don't need. Talk to them. If they got used ones, try used ones first and all.
Right.
Well,
what
people don't. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to throw some names out at Jason. You can actually message Heath Jones. He's with Treasure Mountain Detectors. I'm sure they have used machines there. North Georgia Relics. He has used machines there, and Don, his name's Don too. He's a real nice guy. I'm sure that if he has a used machine there, he's not gonna gouge you on it. He's gonna give you a good price on it. Another one, I'm trying to think here. Well, I don't know if Sam has any. She deals with whites or was. I don't know if she has any used machines or not. But definitely, if you can talk to another hunter, and that's what these people are. They're hunters. They're not a big box store, nothing like that. And you're going to get an honest opinion about it. And if you tell them, hey, I'm going to use this detector, this used one, until I get used to it, see if I like it or not, and can I bring it back to you, and I'll buy a new detector of the kind that I'm really wanting. And they're probably going to give you a little bit of trade-in value on the way back. I mean, these guys are just regular guys. They're just,
They are. They're regular guys.
Yeah, they're going to help you out. They're not going to blow smoke. Or at least I'd hope they don't. I mean, I've never had them do it to me.
Yeah,
so.
Me too.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have rental machines. They rent machines.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So you can rent them, and that would be, in my opinion, rent a machine, see what you like, see how it works, and then if you've got some used ones, make a deal on a used one.
Right.
And like you said, Derek, use it for a while, and then, like I said, if he's a reputable dealer, a lot of times they'll let you trade the machines in. I know there's a lot of them that do that.
Yeah, and there's a good company. You can't really trade in machines to him. I don't think he does that part, but Evan at SeriousDetecting.com. I deal with him. I talk. He's a friend of mine. He'll do you right. if you're looking for a new machine at a good price, he has them right there. He has a really big selection of metal detectors, but he's always done good business with me. He was one of my dealers with Bliss Tool. So I can't say enough good about Serious Detecting. It is actually, he's a really good guy. He owns the whole thing. They actually have stock and everything else. So it's definitely, he just got caught off again. Oh, there he is again. Hang on a second. There we go. But yeah, SeriousDetecting.com. It's a good reputable company, and he's gonna do you right. So that's if you're looking for a brand new machine. And I'm sure that at Treasure Mountain they have brand new machines too, and so does North Georgia Relics and everything else. Just do a little bit of research, talk to the guys there, and talk to your friends in the hobby so you can figure out which one you want, which one's going to treat you the best. And sometimes it comes right down to you like the way it looks. I mean, it does. I mean, you like the style of it, you like the weight of it, whatever, and that's what you go with. I mean, because two machines can look the same. I mean, like the T2 and the F75, they look identical, but the T2 is hands down a better performer, at least in my instance. I mean, when I've used it, but I've heard this from a lot of people too. But so it's definitely do some research first. Don't buy the first one that comes by. So
and just listen to people and talk to people, because like I say, there's good reputable dealers out there that will work with you. I know I've got one over here, metal detecting stuff. Great bunch of guys, two guys, Wayne and Doug. Another buddy of mine over in Louisiana. Great guy over there. I mean, and they'll do you right. They'll do you right. And they're not going to try to say, well, buy this, just to make the money. That's the thing.
Right, that's what I don't want.
The big thing I would ask, Jason, if you can chat me, what I guess, what's your intention to getting into metal detecting? Are you wanting to go for coins, relics? I mean,
gold, whatever.
Because there are different, gold or whatever, because there's different machines set up for different things as that.
Yeah, especially.
I know there's a lot of machines out now that you can do about anything with them, but kind of look at, first of all, what you want to get the machine for. You want to hunt coins, you want to hunt relics, and then when you go and get a used machine or rent a machine, get one that will do what you want it to do and experiment with it.
Right. And don't use it just one time and say, oh, it sucks. You got to take these machines. I don't care what machine you guys own. Yeah, but you guys know this on the show already if you've been into the hobby. You got to use it a couple dozen times and really get your mind wrapped around what the machines are doing, because you can't judge a machine the first time out because you don't know the machine, so you don't know what you're doing.
That's right.
You can't blame the machine for that. You got to learn and catch up a little bit. There's a learning curve on these machines. And, even the low end. I mean, Chris, I had to, read the directions. I mean, because, we all know how a metal detector works, and we know, but not all these knobs and stuff like that do the same on every metal detector. They're different. They're set up different calibrations and everything else. So, you can't expect to understand everything about a metal detector the first time out, the first day you buy it. It's not going to happen. And there are a lot of people that do that. They go out one time, this thing's a piece of junk, and they sell it. And it's like, man, you own a decent detector. I mean, it's top shelf, so to speak, and you're giving it up for a detector that's less. And I'm like, performance-wise, you just gave up performance, but that's what they want to do. I mean, you get it in your head, I guess. I've done it too. I mean, I did that when I first started, man. I was going through machines left and right for a while, and it's just something you learn. Wait a minute here, maybe it's me, and I started doing some research, and it all depends on how much you want to be into it also. I mean, I wouldn't suggest anybody to go out and buy a $2,000 machine, and if they're going to hunt once a year with it. I mean, it's not cost effective to you. Get something that's more versatile that you can do a lot of different kind of hunting with. There's gold prospecting, there's relic hunting, coin hunting, even coin shooting, at a local park. And most of your mid-range detectors will work real good for that, because you're not talking about old stuff that's really deep. So, yeah, you're right, Chris. Definitely talk to some people, and one of these dealers, I mean, they're regular hunters like us. They're going to help you out. Now, if you go to a place and I don't care where it is, you have your mind set on a metal detector, and they can bring up other ones to you, but if they are just hounding you about buying this other kind they think is better, guy, just put the other detector down and walk away. That's what I would suggest, because now they're doing a commission thing, not a, and this is mostly from the big stores. But yeah, I mean, if you want something, if they give you a good reason, I mean, obviously you do your research on these other detectors too, but stick by your guns, because usually your instinct's going to tell you. If you hear enough good things about a detector, you're going to use it. So then that's all I got to say.
You're right too. And you're right too, Derek. What you said, learn the machine.
Yep.
Don't take it out one time and get frustrated and let the machine intimidate you.
Right.
Don't be intimidated by the machine. Take it out. Read your instructions. Read what the machine will do. You can get on YouTube. You can get on anything and Google the machines. And that's what I tell Jason. Get on YouTube, and we've given you some, machines and all. And look at those and Google them and see what these guys are doing and what they're using them for. And that sometimes helps a lot.
Yeah, and also with that same thing you said about looking up the YouTube videos and stuff, look and listen to the machine itself, because some people make they make their videos, and everybody makes their videos different, and that's good. But sometimes I've been on these detectors I'm testing and everything right now. I don't understand a stinking word these guys are saying, because they're all from other countries. But I'm watching, I'm listening, I'm looking at the detector, I'm looking at their settings. I'm trying to make sense of a detector just by that, not by who's using it. It may get you to that video or whatever. And it's not because I think they're lying or anything like that. I just, you don't understand them, or they're doing their video in a different way, different kind of video, and they're doing like a live hunt instead of testing video. You can look at what that machine's doing in a live hunt situation. Look at the VDIs if they're showing them to you. Look at, when they pinpoint and they're trying to tell how deep it is, look at that screen. It's going to say it on there, or if they say it, and then you watch them dig it. And if it's only 2 inches down, but it said it was 8 inches down, well, you know that the target ID or these bells and whistles or whatever you want to call them may not work as good on that machine as it would be on a different brand or a different model. So you can easily pick out
they're
one
all
of those
different.
things. Yeah, they're all different. They're all, that'll drive you crazy sometimes, believe me. So, yeah.
I've gotten to where now, of course, a lot of people, they'll tell you, well, hunting 2 tones, hunting 3 tones, hunting 4 tones. I've gotten to where I hunt full tones with anything. And just, you've got to, of course, just listen. You got to listen, especially like when you're heavy iron. And hunt full tones, and you'll hear that little chirp.
Yep.
And you
little
just
tweaks.
See it that way. It's and Craig, especially like with a Deus and a little boat. I mean,
I use full tones on the Deus. I love it.
Yeah.
I used I had the tones on the Explorers, Iron Lab Explorers, when I used those years ago, and I liked it. But some people don't. I heard one guy I know that's very successful with the Deus hunts in 2 tones, and he claims that he can hear the nuance of aluminum, so he doesn't dig it. By using just the 2 tones, and also iron. He says he can tell iron also a lot better, even if it's big.
Yeah.
So by listening,
interesting.
These machines now are getting more.
Cool. I've never heard that before, but that does make sense in a way, in a different way. He's hunting, Revolutionary War and colonial stuff mostly.
Right.
So, he's not really worried about, he goes for very low tones, because some of these buttons, these pewter buttons, are very low. They're below nickel.
Well, we're also talking too the new machines, the newer machines, the last year or two. There is nuance in these digital machines, or somewhat of a nuance that I recognized because of using the analog machine that I've been using so long. I'm picking up on this now, where the nuance is it's prevalent. You can hear it You just got to know what you're hearing. You got to understand how the detector's working on that target in the ground, and pay attention to how, when you dig a target up, how deep it was, what it sounded like, and try to remember that, because there is tells on these in this sound. I know Josh Kimmel did that with the E-Track for years, and he'd hunt by sound, and so
Yeah.
you can do it. It's becoming easier to do it. I think it's because of the chips they're using, or the technology is getting better. But I notice it with these machines, there is definitely nuance in there, and I'm already picking up on it on the low end detector, so that's kind of neat too. Just kind of go with the flow, guy. I mean, you can ask us any question you want to, and you can message us or Chris or anybody on here. I mean, I saw, Bill or Mike or Bill Pendergrass is even on here. He has a whole ton. Matter of fact, I know at one time, and I don't know if Bill still has a lot of machines, and he was wanting to sell a couple of them, I think. Jason just messaged, or Bill Thunderdome, message this guy on chat here, and you guys talk to each other if you're wanting to sell machines. Bill has some of the best, cleanest machines. He's not a dealer or nothing. He's just a guy like us, but he takes very good care of his stuff, and he's going to, if you buy one from him, I know it's going to be right, because I've seen all these today. He has like 17 of them or something like that, and they're all top names.
Yeah.
So, you can find a lot of the, Bill Marsh is another one that has a bunch of machines, I'm sure, and Chris, you probably have at least 4. I mean, from what at least
4 plus.
Yeah.
It gets addictive. Let's put it that way. Not only the detecting, but getting new machines gets addictive sometimes.
Yeah, no, it'll get you addicted. This hobby will get you addicted. If it's almost, I put that right in our description of our radio show, because it's habit forming. It's a good kind of habit. I think it's the safest
it's funny,
habit.
when you first start, you don't want to pay, a whole lot of money for a detector, but then when you get addicted to it, you'll drop $1,000 easily.
Yeah. And without even blinking an eye. Yeah, without even blinking an eye. My wife has almost killed me many times over that. Where'd that money go? I said, I found a detector. Oh my God, you bought another one. I said, that's okay. I'm just going to test it. I just want to see, how good it is and everything. And then I turn around and sell it for $900. But, still, I got to use it. So I got to use, for $100 bill, I got to use a machine for 3 months. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and what's bad is we're sitting here talking about detectors. Well, now you got to look at pinpointers. Now you got to look at shovels. And you got to look at this. It's just, and people think, God, you paid that much for a detector? I said, well, let me kind of put this in perspective.
Yeah.
There's people that play golf.
Yep.
And, when you're going to get a good set of clubs and stuff like that, it's going to cost you. But if it's something you like to do
it.
Then I'm not saying money is no object, but do it.
Hey, fishermen do it, hunters do it, tennis players do it. They buy, hey, whatever makes you happy and lets you live the adventure you want to live.
Rackets at one time.
Yep.
Yeah, well, Craig, just like the tennis. That's right.
We had one walk-in closet, with me and Pauline. We were really into guns, man. We had, AK-47s, Mini 14s, and rifles and shotguns and handguns. We filled up a walk-in closet all the way around the perimeter of it with just rifles and stuff like that. And we were so into it. And then, we lost the bug or whatever we didn't have time for, so I started up another hobby. I just, it rolls into it. So, if you buy quality, you'll sell them for good money, and you'll be able to start up, get another metal detector, or, whatever hobby you're wanting to get into, you can actually move on. So, just.
And Barbara brought up something real good to Jason, too. A pinpointer. Get you a good pinpointer.
Yep.
Because that will save you headaches right there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times you're going out and Craig, Eric, this too, going out and you find bird shot and you're going to put that down, you're just going nuts. Just find a little old BB. It just drive you wild sometimes. But yeah, good pinpointer.
Yeah, he says he's planning on a list of items. He's planning on $1,500 to $2,000. Well, brother, you can buy just about any upper level detector with that, and that you want, and you can also get one that's used that costs more than that, but you can buy it used probably for less than that. So, you have a full spectrum of detectors from every company. You're just going to have to do your legwork on that a little bit. And we could suggest detectors, but it'd be easier if you kind of pick one out that you're really kind of looking at. I'm sure you kind of been buzzing around a little bit, and ask a few people that you know have them. Watch a few videos, and if it doesn't seem like it's something you want, or you have questions that you can't answer, then look at another brand or another model. Don't get hung up on just one. But
yeah, and he was Jason just said about a Profind 35. I'm not Jason. I tell you, I really don't know about them. I've never used one.
Right.
I've used, of course, the Garrett's. A lot of those. Of course, now when I go a lot of times with my Deus, I've got the Deus that it's paired up with the machine itself, and so I use it. But it's just hard to say. This pinpointer, that pinpointer. It's just there again. Pinpointers are another deal too.
Yeah, and be sure you buy it if you're buying a pinpointer. I've heard they've had a lot of problems with counterfeits and stuff like that. Be aware of who you're buying them from. Don't buy the cheapest one on eBay. Yeah,
Garrett's are counterfeit all the time.
Yeah, it seems like. No, the one that Craig and I use is the Technics pinpointer. They're like $85. You get a case. I love the thing. It's a pulse induction pinpointer. It's the same size as the rest of them out there, but it detects a dime at like 4 inches. You don't need anything more than that. You don't need to carry 2 metal detectors with you. That's the way I look at it. You just need something that's going to be able to locate. Boy, he's having a heck of a time with his phone. All right, Chris is back. But with the detector or the pinpointers, there's so many of them out there. They range up to, you can get a Vibra Pro for $250. It's waterproof and everything else. Mm-hmm. But the Technics, for me, it was $85, but it's a quality $85 pinpointer. I've had mine for Craig, 3 years. It's not failed on me yet, and I beat the heck out of them.
Yeah,
so
I'd never had one before until a couple of years ago, and everybody was going, "You got to have one,"
Yeah, me.
I know, I couldn't do without it now. I mean, first thing I do when I open the plug is grab the pinpointer. I have it now.
The one thing I love about a pinpointer is you dig a target out of the ground, and you have the plug open, and you're not sure, you think you have more targets in there, you take that pinpointer, run right along the outside wall of the hole, down in the bottom, and that's why it's nice to have something that can pick up at least a dime at like 2 or 3 inches anyways. Don't go to Harbor Freight and buy a pinpointer from them, because you're going to be disappointed in it. It'll get you by, and I've done that before. I broke my White's pinpointer before I got my Technics. I went down to Harbor Freight and just bought one because I'm so used to using them. But it was just enough to get me by until I had, time to go and order one and all that stuff, a good one. So, usually anywhere from, you can buy pinpointers used too, can't you? I think they have some on eBay and stuff.
I've seen them.
I don't know if you want to buy a used one of those or not. I think you just want to buy a brand new one and be done with it, because you might be running into some problems.
Yeah, I got 2 Technics just recently because Mike wanted one and he didn't have an Amazon account, so I decided to get another one just for backup.
Yeah, they're quality.
Because you never know. I mean, they're good. I've never had any problems with them, and the tip. The funny thing is, the tip is still good. I've never changed it.
I know they give you like 2 extra tips on it.
Anything.
Yeah, I know. I had my original one, and I beat the heck out of the thing, and it won't break. The rubber thing won't come off the end of it. I still have 2 more somewhere. I've lost them now because it's been like 2 years. But
and see, and that's the thing. And just like Craig said, don't buy a pinpointer off of eBay. Go to a dealer and buy a good, and it's true, because those, like I said, those Garrett's. I know a lot of people I knew got stung buying those counterfeit ones.
Yeah, they're all over the place. Yeah. Oh, Chris,
everything.
I wanted to tell you something while you listened to the last show?
I missed that last show.
Well, anyways, I went through this whole, we're not dealing with, not authorized distributors anymore for Bliss Tool. I gave that up. Just politics with me and the owner. more or less. The detector's good.
well,
It's solid. The product's good, but I can't deal with them. So, but I think it was you that messaged me about your detector hadn't been turned on in a while or something like that. Was that you?
yeah, I didn't charge it
You
in a
can
while.
still. I'm going to be. I'm going to be a service center for myself. I'm going to help you. Help you
Okay.
guys out and everything. If you have any problems with your machines out there, need batteries, whatever else, you just give me a call. The forum and the website are down for maintenance right now. We're actually trying to launch a new, I was going to say a community, whatever you want to call it, but I'll still work on the machines for you guys. I don't have a problem with that at all. So that's okay.
Well, because I need. Like I say, like I say, the Blues told me when I was up in at DIV here a couple of years back. I mean, it cut down. It got down. Like I say, I found pistol bullets 12, 14 inches deep, and that was with a stock coil.
Yep.
I could adjust it. Of course, I did what you said, Terry, too. Get that little piece of ferrite, ground balanced it like that, and that's all it took. And I mean, it got down there.
Oh yeah, I was digging sharps
there,
bullets up there.
V3. Yeah, there was a guy that while we were there had a V3.
Yeah.
And man, he had the bullets, buttons. He just tore them up. And,
that machine is golden, man. It's a golden machine. That's the reason I was involved with it to begin with. But yeah, sometimes it's just better to step away. But I talked about it on the show last week. I don't go into detail about exactly what was going on. But yeah, it was a big thing. I pretty much left it up to guys out there. I just don't want to be an authorized service center. I just don't want to be a part of that. That political part of that, but I will definitely help you guys out with anything. If I have the parts, I can, I have a lot of parts right now, so it's no big deal. But definitely I'll help you guys out so you don't have to send it out of the country or nothing like that. It's crazy. So all you do is give me a buzz and
the box.
Yeah, man, just send me the box over. I'll get it fixed up for you, put a new battery in it.
All right.
But I had a few other guys. I think it was Brent Sanchez had called me and stuff, and his V5, he shipped it, and because he moves around a lot, but he shipped it, and they smashed the box, or not the control box, but they smashed it, and they bent a couple of knobs on it. So man, just send it to me, man. Let me put it on the oscilloscope and the multimeters, and let me make sure everything's okay. No biggie. I got extra knobs and stuff for them, so. I'll take care of all you all because that's I just care about my listeners, my friends, that kind of thing. I mean, I can't really work on anything from outside of the country, anyways. It's just for the U.S. and Canada, and I have a few customers down in South America. So it's all good. I'll take care of you guys. I feel better about that, and I can live with myself doing that rather than having to deal directly.
Good.
So it is what it is, brother. But we have a lot of other stuff going on anyway, so it's actually a blessing in a way. So
it's actually a relief.
It is. I was about ready to go over the deep end for about a year now, over stressing out over essentially just politics and not about the detector. That's the only thing that was ever that blew my mind is the detector's always it's always been good. I've never had a problem with them, and they've always done more than what I thought they would do. Now I have the other problem is when dealing with in business, and I'm not that kind of a salesperson. I don't want to be involved in that, and so that's pretty much what happens. So it's all good. I'm actually happy for the first time. Over the last week or so, I've been actually more happy than I've been in the last 6 months. So I'm not a.
Well, that's all that counts.
Well, you know how it is, Chris. You're not. You're like me. You're not one to quit. But I don't figure I quit on this. I just, if you can't work with
you get
certain things,
you get to a point though where you get to a point when it's no longer fun or exciting anymore, and you start stressing.
Yeah.
The moment that happens, it's just you can't put your heart into it or anything like that, and you just you're tensed up all the time. You just can't do it.
No. I mean, it got to the point where I didn't detect for a whole month. I didn't even go out. I didn't even want to look at any kind of metal detector. Didn't want to look at it. It was just more of a my own mental state. I'm like, I can't blame the hobby on just a disagreement. So get over myself and get out here and start metal detecting again. And I'm actually really excited about it. These other detectors I've been using. I still use my bliss tool. Heck, I took it out the other day just for the fun of it. But and I still find stuff with it. So it's a solid machine, good product. But yeah, I wanted to let you know that because I didn't know if you listened to the last show or not, and it's probably still going around a little bit.
But that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, man.
Well, I was going to call you one night during the week and discuss all that.
Oh yeah, man, that's no big deal.
Yeah. But anyway, well, look, I'm gonna get off here.
Yeah, because
great talking to you guys. And Craig, great talking to you.
Thanks.
We'll get old Doodaddy Don on here one day, and we'll get him on here because like I say he's
busier.
He's a world of knowledge too.
Oh yeah,
he's a world of knowledge.
Yeah, I've talked to him once or twice. It's been a long time ago, but I always liked his attitude and everything. He always has a great attitude. So get you both on here on having a show to be cutting up, and me and Craig will just take a break and let you guys do the show because I know you guys can talk people's ears off too.
All right. Well, you guys take care, and we'll be in touch with you, Derek, one day this week.
That's fine, man. That's fine.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
You guys have a good night, everybody, and good seeing a lot of these names on here too. I say it comes back, and I just don't get on to the shows a lot, and I mean to, but
hey,
you know how
life is busy, man. Life is busy. Believe me. Shoot.
It is.
Some of the best people in metal detecting are on this chat right now. I mean, I know just about every one of them, and they've always stand-up people, man. I thought, glad to call them friends. Glad to call them friends. So, yeah, Chris, have a great night, man.
Right, okay, you guys too. Take care.
All righty.
You too, man.
Bye-bye. Well, guys, we're probably going to wrap up the show since we went about 2 hours tonight. And it was a good show because, well, we went over again, Craig. But no,
I actually have a regular time that we do?
We're supposed to do a hour show, but I don't think we've ever done an hour show. Maybe once or twice when I had to, really be somewhere. But, where else do I get a chance to talk to all my friends for, twice a week? I want to keep you guys on the show as long as I can. So, anyways, guys, Craig, I'm going to wrap this up for tonight. And shoot, I might be able to give out some information on Thursday. It'd be in a week or so. I think you guys are going to at least want to take a look at these detectors because there's something special about them. But at any rate, probably got to wrap it up tonight, guys. Thanks for listening. I see everybody on here, and Gavin McGregor, and Barbara, and Bill Marsh, Bill Pendergrass, Brandon Stewart, of course, Chris Engel, Jason. Glad you tuned in tonight, brother. I don't know if it's the first show you listened to. I think I saw your name once before, but thanks for listening in. And tell a friend. I've got Jaron on here. Trying to go back through the Michael Boyles, obviously. I said him earlier. But great having you guys on. Thanks for listening. And to tell a friend, too, because we don't really advertise or nothing. It's all word of mouth. And be sure you like and follow the show. And we'll talk to you next week. Well, I guess it's almost next week, right, Craig? Yeah, we got it right. It's Saturday night.
Yep.
Man, it's been a long day. Guys, thanks for listening. If you can get out there and do some detecting, do it safely and have fun. And we'll talk to you on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. Thanks for listening, and God bless.